Bună ziua! Vreau să vă mulțumesc mult că ați dat curs invitației noastre. Suntem întotdeauna bucuroși să vă vedem, să ne întâlnim și să discutăm privitor la activitățile care le realizează Biroul Național de Statistică. O mare parte din activități sunt realizate datorită suportului partenerilor de dezvoltare, fapt care îl apreciem foarte mult și fapt pentru care vă mulțumim foarte mult. Avem și, deci, inclusiv colegi care au venit din afara, deci, Moldovei, deci, de la ambasada Indiei, la București, și lucrul ăsta ne bucură de asemenea foarte mult, că, deci, profit de faptul că, deci, sunt distanțele ne-am dar nu este cazul dezvoltării statistice și realizării activității Consiliului Sectorial pentru asistență externă în domeniul statisticii oficiale. Stimați colegi, dacă sunt careva propuneri de completare, de modificare a agendei ședinței de astăzi, care a fost propusă atenției noastre. Dacă nu sunt, deci considerăm că deci, agenda este adoptată și putem să procedem la discuții. Deci, conform agendei, deci, sunt propuse două subiecte. Prima ce ține de programul de dezvoltare sistemului statistic național, dar el va fi, deci, la primul subiect, o prezentare în primul rând, a celor realizate de la ultima ședință a Consiliului Sectorial pentru asistență externă în domeniul statisticii oficiale, pentru a vă informa despre activitățile principale care le-a realizat Biroul Național de Statistică, în special cu suportul partenerilor de dezvoltare. De asemenea, va fi scoasă deci, în evidență deci activitățile prioritare care urmează să fie realizate, conform noului document de planificare în domeniul statisticii, aprobat recent prin hotărâre de guvern. Și la doilea subiect vom discuta privitor la situația la zi privind pregătirile către registrământul populației și a locuințelor și deci activitățile ulterioare care sunt necesare de realizat și care sunt doleanțele, așteptările noastre de la partenerii noștri dragi în susținerea deci, activităților care urmează să fie realizate. Aș rog domnul copreședinte, domnul Springet, dacă doriți să vină cu un mesaj sau cu intervenție.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. And thanks all of you for attending. I sit on a huge number of sectoral coordination meetings. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but this is by far my favorite. So I'm really happy that everyone is here because I methink clearly statistics are hugely important in our development work. I think first just to congratulate the MBS on the exercising of the pilot census and to Mr. Carr and to Aurelia for presenting the results to the development partners meeting. I think it was last week. I'd also like to recognize the publication of the resident population data, which I believe was last July, that goes down to the first territorial district. And I think this is hugely important for all of us as we plan or as the government plans its policy interventions and our development program. So I do hope that people are taking huge advantage of that data set. And then finally, I just also want to congratulate the State Chancery and the National Bureau of Statistics for the development of the National SDG Progress Report that was released in mid-September. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at it, but it's a really, really valuable document, and it's really well written and well presented. And we hope that the English version will be released in the coming days. So if I could also just ask in relation to that report, which is a result of a government decision that was decided in December last year, please try to disseminate this report as broadly and widely as possible, because having these SDG data sets are hugely important. And this is also in line with the EU accession process, because the SDG data, or the SDGs, are probably around 80%, 85% in line with the key chapters. So having the SDG data is actually providing data to prove evidence of progress for the key. So hugely important. So thank you again, Mr. Carr. Thanks for convening this meeting. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you very much for your high appreciation. We also every meeting with you, with development partners, is actually let's say a very important for us in order to exchange the views, in order to discuss on the priorities and the ways how to move forward. With your permission, I will continue the presentation from the laptop regarding the first part. So as mentioned, so I will concentrate in the presentation on the additional, let's say, elements that haven't been discussed earlier, because speaking about strategic planning, actually we've had a range of discussions with you, with other partners. We've seen the strategy, the strategical framework for the development of national statistical system as let's say, as an opportunity to discuss regarding the difficulties, shortages, regarding the challenges, and in order to identify the most efficient way to improve the situation of the national statistical system. As you know, in 2022, the strategy of the development of national statistical system up to 2030 was approved by the government, and afterwards a medium-term program was approved by the government in 2023. So this midterm program actually is the program that provides priorities and also the activities. Also, action plan is also part of this program for 2023-2026. Both the draft strategy and program was widely consulted, discussed, and in order to catch all the, let's say, valuable contributions, in order to have a real, let's say, live document that reflect the real situation and the aspirations of our partners, users, to improve the data production and dissemination. Regarding the recent result and progress after the last meeting in October last year, First of all, we discussed about the shortages related to the access to the administrative data sources. In order to be to produce statistics in an efficient way, we need to have access to different data sources, both to administrative data sources and privately held data. In this aspect, without real access to individual data, would not be possible to produce such kind of information. After long debates, discussions at different levels, we succeeded to amend the law 93 from 2017 on official statistics, where we inserted the clear provisions regarding the right of the National Bureau of Statistics to access alternative data sources for production of statistics. Also some changes in other laws, also as an energy law, was also made in order to let's say to exclude the barriers when accessing the data from authorities. Also, as Mr. Stinget mentioned, the national framework for monitoring the implementation of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda was approved by the government. Actually, we see this, let's say, SDG monitoring framework as an umbrella for, let's say, development of, not only development, but the production of statistics and the supply of the data, of the information to the public. It was a quite difficult exercise, first of all, because there were some lacks in distribution of, let's say, of the responsibilities among the ministries related to the SDG, let's say, areas, targets, and in this aspect, I hope that many now there is a more clarity, and we can move forward with the production of data and dissemination. Actually, also the platform for the dissemination of national for the SDG indicators was developed and populated, and shortly this platform will be launched for the public. Also, we succeeded with the development of the system, demographic and social statistics. Now is in place the development of the system itself. In order to get access to personal data, it's important to ensure the personal data protection. That's why, apart from the improvement of the legal framework, we focused on strengthening the personal data protection measures. We got the certification for information security and for personal confidential data protection obtained through the external audit. And so this activity, as well as the above mentioned, were possible due to, let's say, to support from development partners. And we appreciate very, very much this support. Also, in order to use the data, we developed a methodology for using the unique statistical identifier in order to have the possibility to ensure the data protection according to the international standards. In take the account that Republic of Moldova was granted the status of candidate country. So the activities related to the harmonization of Moldovan statistics to acquis communautaire is more, let's say, is a higher priority than before, and we focus on using, let's say, in development of statistics to implement the relevant EU regulations. So we started to make a range of assessments and reviews in order to identify the gaps vis-a-vis the exigencies, the requirements of EU regulation, including the development of quality reports in order to inform better the users regarding the methodology, classification used, and the gaps and shortages when producing and disseminating statistical information. So we implemented several surveys, a new one related to the business conjuncture survey, starting with January this year. That is very important, taking into account especially the, let's say, the multiple crises, let's say, and through which Moldova is passing. And this survey is providing a range of new important indicators for the government, for the businesses, in order to help them to work more efficiently and to have a better, let's say, production activity. So we implemented also a new ICT enterprise survey. We redesigned actually the survey, taking into account the EU regulations. A range of methodologies have been approved according to the EU and international and other international standards. Speaking about, for instance, regarding the methodology for multidimensional poverty index, this activity is under progress. We have the DAP methodology, we have experimental calculations, and shortly we'll have the, let's say, the discussions regarding this calculations, because the methodology actually was discussed with the relevant institutions, and now when these experimental calculations will be, the results will be discussed, we could approve this methodology and disseminate the information as a regular statistics. So regarding them, we implemented also a range of activities in order to modernize the statistical processes. So starting with end 2022, we implement the CAPI, computer assisted personal interviewer, interviewing for the labor force survey. This year will be completed this activity, and here this is just one example that the activity is based on the multiple donor assistance. Here we use the tablets that have been kindly provided by Switzerland, by the government of Switzerland. Also, we use the expert support from EU. We used also the expertise that we got from UNFPA, from ILO. So this is one example that is providing, let's say, a result based on multiple, let's say, donor assistance. Regarding experimental calculations, we start to, let's say, to enlarge our, let's say, vision together with the users, or let's say being somehow forced by the users to, let's say, to enlarge the production, not only being limited to the official statistics that is regularly, let's say, produced, but also implementing new data sources and new methods. So for sure, in order to produce new statistics, you need methodology, you need new data, let's say, tools, and when the calculations are made, you need, let's say, a frame, a period to ensure that new data correspond to the highest quality standard. In this respect, the period of several years usually is needed in order to produce a new set of indicators. Now we are trying to provide the data and the information even before these data already have the stamp of official statistics. Now we are developing a new web page with experimental statistics, where all the activities that are, let's say, conducted by the National Bureau of Statistics with experimental statistics will be placed on this on our website. Even intermediary, so the results of intermediary activities will be also provided, but emphasizing that this is not official statistics, that this is in process of the, let's say, of the production of official statistics. Some of the examples could be that this last year we started to use data from from tax authority on the volume of sales. So starting with this year, these data are already implemented in the statistical production. So this is one example when the preliminary results have been discussed with the line ministries last year, and based on, let's say, discussions, we made some, let's say, improvement in the some of the aspects, and finally, when we been already sure that the quality is correspond to the requirements, we started to disseminate this data. So this in this aspect, there is a range of other data that now will be produced based on administrative data sources, especially from the registers held by the Ministry of Environment and Environmental Agents. Also, we have we started the activity related to the use of tax authority data on wages to complete, and when the results will be satisfactory, we can even remove some of the surveys that are currently collected. Okay. And as a result of improved data production and dissemination, we got some results in ranking. For example, in 2022, Republic of Moldova ranked 17 in the world ranking, and out of 195 countries, and second in Eastern Europe. Speaking about the coverage and openness of official statistics websites. So This is one example of, let's say, of the results of the production activity and dissemination committee of the National Bureau of Statistics, together with other partners, because it reflects the, let's say, activity of official statistics producers. Speaking about the National Development Program, actually, we've had a range of discussions with you and other partners regarding the objectives, the priorities, and I just wanted to mention some key points regarding the objectives. These are four main objectives of the program for the development of the national statistical system. First of all, it's about strengthening the institutional capacity of the national statistical system members. The second is strengthening the governance of the national statistical system. The third is the improvement in data production and dissemination itself. And the fourth is more related to improvement of the side from demand side than from the supply side. The first three objectives are more related to the supply of official statistics. As mentioned by many users, there is a lack of, in some cases, understanding of statistical information, and because of that, the usefulness of statistical data is not so high. That's why these fourth objectives is really important in order to increase the value of statistical information. Regarding the program, actually, when developing the program, we worked on the already implementation of the activities, and that's why some of the activities that are included in the program are already in the process of implementation. So regarding the legislation, we already discussed. Regarding the institutional development, this is one of the, let's say, key points that is one of the basis for the statistical activity. We really need to improve the training, the development of the human resources, and using the regular training programs. So now we have in place trainings, but they are somehow fragmented. We would need here to improve significantly the program and to have specific curricula, specific sub-programs for beginners, for other personnel. And this program also to include all the institutions that are part of the national statistical system. Here, I would like to emphasize that the current strategy and program is focused not focused on NBS. It's focused on all producers of official statistics. Now is in place the process of the identification of other producers of official statistics. We invited all the interested institutions to fill in the questionnaires related to the identification of other producers of official statistics, and some 16 institutions sent to us the questionnaires with the information regarding the activity. We haven't identified yet the institutions that could be already, let's say, could get this status. Some of the institutions are quite close to this, but have to
complete some of the activities. And so for such institutions that will be part of the will gain this we will get this status of other statistical authority, we'll need definitely to be part of this training program. That's why this is key, and we count very much on your support. And the creation of training center would be, let's say, good, an excellent possibility to ensure the training based on a regular training program. Now we are going through the, let's say, preparation, some organizational changes in the organizational structure of the NBS, and we will provide to the government our proposals until the end of the year. Regarding the governance and leadership, this is about strengthening of the coordination with the national statistical system. We plan to develop a range of, let's say, of documents, and also a range of activities that would improve the harmonization of activities within the national statistical system. Regarding data production, so here our focus is on strengthening the quality management system through the overall data production and dissemination flow. So in this aspect, we are developing the quality guidelines that will be used not only by the National Bureau of Statistics, but also will be proposed to be used by the National Bank and other, let's say, authorities producing official statistics, in order to ensure the high quality of statistics and the quality of all the processes, ensuring the quality of final product. We plan to use, let's say, standards, international standards related to the processes through the standardization of the processes based on EU and other recommendations and standards. And of course, here we count, and the basis is the evaluation assessment, not only global assessment, but especially sectoral review, sectoral assessment, in order to identify all the shortages and punctually to develop the plan of the, let's say, improvement of the in all the sectors. Population census, we will discuss this important thing in the second subject. After the implementation of the population housing census, we will work on the, let's say, agricultural census. Here we are dependent a lot on the, let's say, other the situation in and especially activities related to the identification of agricultural producers. So as you know, in the General Agricultural Census 2011, so 1 million of agricultural holdings were enumerated. So if you compare with France, we have 375,000 of units. So this is just an example. So the number of units is very high. So for now, it's important to identify the scope of the next agricultural census, to be focused on all producers or only on commercial, let's say, units. So that's why here we have to discuss a lot also with Minister of Agriculture in order to identify the scope of the census, and after that to go with the preparation to this statistical activity. The redesign of ICT system is another key point, very important. So speaking about the data production, now we have a range of shortages when speaking about the implementation of new surveys. When we speak about some changes in the software, some changes in the data production system. So without a redesigning of ICT system, we could not be in line with the requirements. The budget helped us a lot in modernizing the equipment, the hardware. So starting with 2021, each year we get from the government, for the budget, around 4 million bay. And this money I used especially for renovation of the equipment, the first, and the second for improvement of the data protection. Of the data protection is related softwares. So now we have about 70% of the equipment already renovated. So next year we hopefully will have all the IT equipment, let's say, renovated as a good basis for the threatening of the ICT system. However, we need to improve the infrastructure based on new, let's say, application softwares that and development of the IT system, of new IT system in general. So here we count a lot on the support from the development partners. So speaking about the fourth objective, we understand that we should improve the communication methods. We should, let's say, involve more other authorities, institutions, academia in the process of, let's say, increasing the literacy of the users. And building a statistical culture is a very important topic, where we count a lot on the support of the developers. So I will not bother you with the production provision of details regarding the figures. They are presented in the program. We tried to evaluate, to estimate the costs, both of the activities that will be supported by the government, but also by the, let's say, what are not covered. And here we count a lot on your support. We have already some information, and some of the development partners already expressed their readiness and willingness to support the development program, the implementation of the program. However, this covers only, let's say, partially our needs, and we count on, let's say, increasing of this support. So we use different, let's say, tools in order to support the development of national statistics system. Recently, we started to benefit from a range of, let's say, projects in the framework of the TAIEX. Thank you very much for your delegation for this opportunity to improve sectoral statistics. And we count, on this instrument support, and on other support, on other instruments, and other, let's say, donors support as well. Here, I just wanted to mention one thing. We appreciate very much all the support provided, and we would reiterate the proposal expressed earlier, that let's say, building of one project that could, let's say, include many other, let's say, donor support would help us to let's say, to first of all, to be more efficient, and also for the administration of the project from our side. Because it's I would like to say that our capacity are quite limited, and when we have plenty of projects and we have to be involved in administration, let's say, administrative issues, it's time consuming. And we would appreciate to have maybe a similar project than we've had earlier, when a project was, let's say, developed with the support from other UN agencies, but also from governments. And this project was an important tool that was quite had a comprehensive coverage, and we could solve many problems in a very efficient way. And this with the administration, the management of the project from, and let's say a unit that was taking care of administrative. This is things I wanted to mention. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any comments or questions, yes.
Eu aș avea o întrebare dumneavoastră, nu știu, în engleză sau Yes, I would have a question related to agricultural census. What kind of support you need? I mean, technical assistance or support for conducting the census itself? And also, I would like to ask if you didn't estimate how much this would cost.
Thank you very much for your question. Actually, what is needed for the agricultural census? First of all, this is about support, methodological support from experts. The first second is related to listing operations. So we need to have all the list of all agricultural producers. Here, together with expert and the Ministry of Agriculture, to identify what would be the scope of agriculture. Because in different countries, different approaches are used. In some countries, only commercial producers are taking forming the scope of the census. In our case, it's also to be discussed with the experts. I think that actually 1 million producers to have the similar exercise in 2011 maybe would not be the case. Maybe to have the narrower scope of the census, maybe to have commercial producers and maybe the big producers above a threshold. This could be, but this should be identified together with the Ministry of Agriculture and experts. Now the Ministry of Agriculture started a range of changes in the legislation also, because it was not so clear the status of peasant farms. Господи царевичной фамилии. And now, according to the old legislation, these farms had to be registered in the local authorities. And now the legislation changed. These farms should be registered in the Agency Servicii Publice. So this is already is the process to somehow to have more clarity with the agricultural producers. That's why now it's somehow unclear. There are registered producers, there are not registered producers. So together with the Ministry of Agriculture, we need to clarify, and we should have a clear vision regarding how long this process will take. In this process of the identification of all the farms and somehow the registration of all farms will be completed in, let's say, in 1 year, in 2 years. In this case, this could be a good basis for the next agricultural season. That's why I think that technical assistance and the support in this identification and clarification of all the producers, maybe this is a question of related to agricultural census itself, but also to support the Ministry of Agriculture. It could help us in clarifying the scope of the census and to go on with the preparation of agricultural census.
Just to complement what Mr. Kara said, for agriculture census, I suppose that there is the same problem with the administrative data sources on the lands, on the parcels. So respectively, as it has been already proved during the population and housing pilot census, we have a problem with the administrative data sources on dwellings and on land, not on land. So the support for the cadastral agency, for the electronic public service agency would be of much support. And I know that UN agencies, EU projects are supporting now these entities in order to improve the registers, the register of addresses, register of cadastre. They are important sources to be used for the purpose of official statistics, including censuses, population and agriculture.
So if all farmers will register officially, you can use administrative data, or it's not enough?
Actually, it's a good basis. Speaking about YACS, it's about subsidies, in my opinion. So I don't know if in our case it would be, because the subsidies program in our other countries are quite large, and the biggest part of the producers are, let's say, eligible for these subsidies, and the list of the units that benefit these subsidies is a total potential list of all the producers. In our case, we should identify what is this list, because now we have the situation when we have non-registered farms. So in this case, it's quite difficult to identify them. In the agricultural census 2011, we collected this information from the local authorities, all the information regarding the lands. So this now, if the administrative data would include the information for all the units, in this case, this source would be an excellent source for the agriculture. Now we don't have such kind of tool. That's why we should identify or work with Ministry of Agriculture and other partners to develop this, to improve the quality of these administrative data sources and use them for agricultural census, or to find another.
And also the spatial information, so the geography of the dwellings and of the land. It is a very important investment into it, because it would consolidate also the national spatial database, and respectively NVS would be also enabled to develop the statistical geoportal, which will permit to implement all these EU regulations on this collection of data and dissemination of data at grid level. So the most disaggregated territorial availability of data.
I just wanted to add, and then repeat that in line with what has been mentioned, we are supporting the Ministry of Agriculture in setting up the farmers registry, which I believe would be an important source of information for the agricultural statistics. So we are now supporting the conceptualization of this farmers registry, but also planning to pilot it in a number of provinces to see how it works. So I believe here there is scope for cooperation on the agricultural census. Thank you.
Hi everyone. First of all, thank you, Mr. Karim, for this very comprehensive presentation. I think it gives us a very good ground to understand what has been the progress and what are the still the challenges also in terms of the funding gaps and the areas that requires support to the National Bureau of Statistics, but also to the entire statistical system. And we do appreciate very much this kind of platform and discussion where we could really coordinate our joint efforts. I wanted to emphasize specifically two of the topics that you have mentioned. The first one was on the information system on demographic and social statistic. I think this has been a very huge step in the national statistical system towards moving from a regular population-based census, which we will still be conducting in the following years, into the population, into the register-based census. And this is also with the support of the India government, and I'm also grateful to see the representative of the Embassy of India here. And we just want to reassure our commitment that we want to continue improving this information system and connect as many as possible admin data to the informational system, so we could have a better alignment of all admin data in the statistical system. And the second point I wanted to mention is on use and analysis of the data. You have mentioned this is one of the also important priority of the National Statistical Program, and indeed from the very beginning when the program was approved, we've been very pleased to see that this becomes an important element of the entire statistical system. So not only data production, but the statistical system also sees their role in use and analysis of the data. And I want to inform here also that with the support of the Swiss Development Cooperation Office in Moldova, we will continue strengthening the capacities, especially of the data users of the local public authorities in using the population and demographic statistics in their planning, in the local public planning and budgeting of the local strategies, specifically also in line with the revised population data and revised indicators that have been published recently, indeed, in June, July this year. So I think that these two elements also in line with the national statistical program, and we are happy to continue supporting the system. Of course, on the population and housing census as well, but this I understand will be the second topic of the discussion. Thank you.
Distinguished participants, thank you for this very comprehensive presentation from your side. We want to reiterate our support in the production and the use of sector-related data for informed evidence-based policy, including gender-responsive budgeting. This is something that we are planning to implement in line with the new public funds management strategy 2030 to help institutionalize this at the level of line ministries, central and local level as well. Also working on the data literacy, we see in our interaction with line ministries and data users that sometimes they are not fully aware, including on the availability of sector-segregated data for policy development and implementation. So just to reiterate our support in that regard, along with our sister agencies. I would have a question regarding your plans on the new study on the prevalence of violence against women. When is that planned after the census? And again, to reiterate our support in that regard. And thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Yes, the building of capacities of data users is very important because all of you know that we have a problem on having a huge availability of data, but unfortunately, a very low percentage of it is used and understood. And I suppose that we still need to help the users to understand this data and to be able to read them. So any support in this respect would be appreciated, and we could indeed make a joint maybe program on building capacities of data users and building the culture, the statistical culture in the society. I'm returning to the first topic of population, violent population census. Population even is also not willing to contribute to produce to deliver data, and the understanding of the usual population about the importance of data, of the evidence for improvement of their quality of life, it's a very huge problem, and this reticency from the population side is very frightening for me, because in a modern society, which is on opposite, wishing, requesting more quicker data, more complex data, more diverse data, the usage of those data is still at the lowest level. So respectively, let us join efforts and do something, maybe focused, maybe because also the users groups are very mobile, changing. New generation, unfortunately, are more lazy than us, maybe, or more, elder generations to read more. So people need the quick, clear, and simple things. So respectively, it is on our behalf to make the respective effort. About the survey on the violence against women or against anyone. As you have seen in the action plan to the development program, we have a lot of surveys on population and on businesses planned, and so far we will still keep those plans from the plans. So the violence against women is planned to be conducted in the field, most probably in 2025. But until then, it is a huge work to be done on developing the methodology, and respectively, we have a fresh manual on this topic of surveys from EU being recently approved. So respectively, we will need to follow it, and in this case, we will need expertise, in particular national and international consultants. Also, because unfortunately, we have a shortage of staff in the division which is responsible for this survey, but also we have this still institutional problem on transitioning from the paper data collection to electronic data collection, and we need this support. We were talking with the RC office, with UN agencies, who you manifested interest to support us to reorganize the network of interviews. So this tool, or this unit is a kind of solution to enable NBS to prepare, conduct more surveys on new topics, and to enable us to conduct that sufficient number of surveys, which is also imposed by the EU regulations, by the frequency of those surveys. We have continuous surveys, we have ad hoc surveys, periodical from time to time. So respectively, it will be a huge activity for NBS, but also in both domains with the population and also on businesses. For this side, we have a very big pressure regarding the optimization of statistical surveys and reduction of response burden. In this case, indeed, it is important now to consolidate the capacities in NBS, which we still are not having them enough on those innovative methods, on working with big volumes of data, on using different statistical softwares which we could ease and shorten our data processing time. So respectively, it is planned. We hope that we will respond soon to your request on signing a memorandum of understanding with you and women, and we will have to identify the respective activities to be put in this project. And as Mr. Kara said at the end, the previous experience of joining efforts, in particular for the same interest of the development partners, of donors, would be easier for us to coordinate and for you to also implement and report and co-finance, because we know that also UN agencies and other development partners are in the shortage of funds, because the problems unfortunately are not decreasing, they are still increasing, and priorities are very wide. So respectively, we need to join efforts in order to produce, and also to have continuity, because it is very important. For example, such a tool like TAIEX, it is okay for one time for interventions, for quick interventions, because they have been fortunately very quickly approved, and it is very useful for us. But nevertheless, we have complex activities like the organization of the network of interviewers or transition to copy, for which we need a longer investment, a longer cooperation, and in this case, the joining of efforts are helping.
Thank you, Amina Nalau from UNICEF Moldova. Thank you very much, Mr. Kara, for presentation, and really deep appreciation of the progress National Growth Statistics is doing in improvement of data disaggregation and availability. And yes, we are here with UN agencies, and this is about joint work to support you and provide further expertise and funds, first of all, on SDG monitoring. Indeed, you know, this is an umbrella along with key community to improve the gender statistics on children. Again, big thanks to you, because for the decades, NBS is very active in engaging and providing the quality data on children, which is part of the regional statistical database on the situation of children. Also, NBS has regularly produced the child poverty report, indeed very comprehensive one, it's like 40 pages of with data and figures. And here we also see the part of demand of the data, yes, and the data use and statistical literacy is a very important one. The progress is made in different domains, but education statistics still needs to be addressed, and this is a methodology of the calculation of indicators, because you might know that the majority of the enrollment rates are above the, it's more than 100%, so we really need to understand, because this is the basis for development of the policies in respective domain, as well as data gaps on child labor. I'm very happy to see the child activities survey. Yeah, child labor is included there. Also, it's about when we can do this together, but it was mentioned 23-26. Yes, but we will discuss this. We know all the challenges, and I'm really very happy to be here, because this is part of my life, part of my family. I was here for about 20 years working with statistical office, so I'm very attached to to statistics on multidimensional poverty. Indeed, this is very important exercise, and we really see the data that will be produced to be further analyzed and used by the Ministry of Health and Social Protection, not only because this is multidimensional aspects. And just to reiterate, UNICEF is ready to support your participation in the forthcoming workshop on multidimensional poverty, along with organized by UNDP and along with UNDP colleagues. I will stop here. Again, big thanks and good luck with all their ambitious plans. And indeed, we are here, all UN agencies, to further support the National Statistical Office and the National Statistics. Thank you.
No, then continue.
Mr. Karel, just because you have mentioned the SDGs and because Rodica Nipar is here, I would like to ask her to inform our development partners about the event which is planned on presenting the report and platform.
If it's okay, I will speak in Romanian. It's okay. În primul rând, vreau să vă salut pe toți. Dragi colegi de la Biroul Național de Statistică, stimați parteneri, îmi face plăcere să fiu aici lângă dumneavoastră. Deci, eu reprezint Cancelarea de Stat și până a vorbi despre procesul de monitorizare a obiectivelor de dezvoltare durabilă, aș vrea să aduc mulțumire partenerilor de dezvoltare pentru tot succesul acordat de Biroul Național de Statistică. Guvernul conștientizează faptul că statistica națională este deci un domeniu cheie pentru a avansa în procesul de integrare europeană. Și de aia vă mulțumim foarte mult pentru tot suportul acordat în acest domeniu și vă îndemnăm în continuare să sprijiniți necesitățile statisticii. După cum cunoașteți, Cancelarea de Stat este în același timp coordonatorul procesului de monitorizare a obiectivelor de dezvoltare durabilă. În anul curent a fost elaborat primul raport național de progres cu privire la implementarea obiectivelor de dezvoltare durabilă. Anterior, în 2020, a fost elaborat primul raport voluntar național cu privire la obiectivele de dezvoltare durabilă. Raportul respectiv este deja public, plasat pe site-ul Cancelariei de Stat și la necesitate vă îndemnăm să consultați. Ca urmare a acestui proces, la începutul lunii noiembrie planificăm să organizăm un eveniment în cadrul căruia, deci, în primul rând, care va fi dedicat autorităților publice, partenerilor, va fi un eveniment orientat pe procesul de elaborare a raportului, pe concluziile în urma evaluării indicatorilor de monitorizare cu privire la ODD și cu privire la platforma de diseminare a indicatorilor privind obiectivele de dezvoltare durabilă. Deci, despre acest eveniment o să vă informăm și deci, metoda oficială și desigur că sunteți bineveniți cu toții ca să participați în cadrul acestui eveniment. Încă o dată vă mulțumim pentru suport și în acest domeniu evident că urmare a evaluării situației cu privire la indicatori de monitorizare obiectivă de dezvoltare durabilă. Deci, unul din elementele de bază care urmează a fi susținute în continuare este asigurarea disponibilității indicatorilor care nu sunt disponibile la această etapă. Deci noi așteptăm aceste concluzii și deja vom vedea concret care sunt necesitățile și care sunt pașii următori pentru a susține autoritățile în vederea asigurării disponibilității acestor indicatori. Mulțumesc!
Mulțumim foarte mult și noi apreciem foarte înalt deci, suportul acordat de Cancelarea de Stat. Vorbim despre monitorizarea ODD-urilor, este o activitate la care Împreună de Statistică contribuie. Deci, într-adevăr, mai sunt întrebări ce țin de golurile existente în colectarea, în prezentarea datelor, indicatorilor ODD, în unele cazuri anumite dezagregări lipsesc. Înțelegem foarte bine că, deși ne străduim aceste goluri să le completăm, o mare parte din acești indicatori țin de competența altor instituții. Și aici, ca atare, este un moment care n-a fost discutat, dar care e necesar de luat în considerație. Indicatorii ODD, deci ei includ, pe de o parte din ei, deci sunt constituiți sau sunt reprezentați cu indicatori statistici care se referă la statistici oficiale, dar o altă parte se referă la indicatori care nu sunt cuprinși în sistemul de colectare și producere a statisticilor oficiale. Și în mare măsură, acești indicatori care nu fac parte din statistici oficiale, dar sunt solicitați ca indicatori ODD, iată aici sunt unele întrebări, în unele cazuri de disponibilitate, în alte cazuri de calitate. Calitate din punct de vedere că fiecare instituție care este responsabilă pentru elaborarea indicatorului, ea ca atare ar trebui să poartă responsabilitate pentru faptul că acești indicatori sunt elaborați în conformitate cu standarde. Iată aici sunt întrebări, deoarece în unele cazuri instituțiile nu au cunoștințe, deci poate destule. În alte cazuri este o situație de cadru. Deci noi chiar parcurs la ultimul an, chiar pe întrebările ODD-urilor, am depistat că o serie de persoane au fost înlocuite cu altele. Și vin persoane poate care se cunosc, nu prea cunosc domeniul, dar. Și aici este o îngrijorare serioasă. Îngrijorare ca să fie asigurată și calitate și continuitate acestor indicatori. Că dacă se produc astăzi într-un mod și mâine se produc în alt mod, utilizând careva metodologii ajustate, lucrul ăsta nu e bine. Deci, pentru că, de ce? Aici, în fond, sunt două aspecte. Una, ce ține în genere de instituțiile, adică distribuirea indicatorilor pe instituții, asta s-a făcut. Deși în unele cazuri, acum, noi deja s-a adresat unele instituții, nu vreau să dau nume, care consideră că indicatorii dați nu țin de ei, dar țin de alții. Adică iarăși și-au solicitat revederea, așa că pe subiectul ăsta să discutăm cu colegii la Cancelarea de Stat suplimentar, dar asta e o parte a monedei. Și a doua parte, anume că statistica oficială și indicatorii ODD trebuie să asigure calitatea și deci, comparabilitatea datelor atât în timp cât și în spațiu. Și aici ca atare va trebui, probabil urmează o activitate laborioasă de a discuta, de a lucra cu fiecare instituție în parte, de a ne asigura că deci, calitatea datelor corespunde exigențelor internaționale. Ca primul pas, deci noi am colectat informații privitor la persoane de contact care sunt responsabili pentru indicator sau altul. 1, 2, informații cheie ce țin de metadate. Unele informații sunt mai complete, altele mai puțin complete. Reșind din disponibilitatea datelor, noi am populat platforma ODD-urilor, care va prezenta atât datele cât și metadatele și facem maxim posibil pe lansarea platformei să populăm această informație, dar un lucru, deci un efort mare urmează să fie desfășurat în continuare pentru a asigura deci, continuitatea, calitatea datelor sistemului de ODD, în special cele care nu fac parte din programul de producere în mod regulat a datelor. Și aici contăm foarte mult pe sprijinul Cancelarea de Stat. So sunt întrebări. In this case, I would like to propose to go on the second topic, and after that we can discuss the first subject if already.
Yes, thank you. In fact, I have a pretty similar presentation as it has been presented during the donor meetings, but I will try orally to provide some additional insights. So about the progress in the implementation of the pilot census. The majority of you know that we have a new law, a new generic law, number 231 as of 2022, and which is a generic law for the next population and housing censuses, so that we do not need to develop such laws in the future rounds of the population census. And it would be the third population census since the independence of the Republic of Moldova. And of course, we are following the recommendations of the UN as it regards the implementation of the 2020 round, global round, and also the recommendations of the European Conference of the Conference of European Statisticians. The innovative tools and aspects we are trying to implement is to conduct the electronic data collection on tablets, to have electronic devices in place and use them for this operation. So to have a longer period of data collection, at least 2 months, because of this new modality of data collection. Also, we intend, and we are already using the administrative and the other alternative data sources, including the private data sources for the preparatory activities for the census. And also we are using the GIS technologies for geographical localization of the dwellings and of the buildings. And also we have a few questions inserted in the census questionnaire regarding the agricultural activity. It would be for the preparation of the next agriculture census. And also we have succeeded to certify 2 standards of ISO on data protection and information security, because we needed to do this activity, and it was very opportune to have it in time before the census. And as Mr. Kara also presented in his presentation, we have a new approach on depersonalization of the personal data and using the statistical IDs for that in order to secure the data processing. So as many of you participated, we had a rather large public consultation of the census variables questionnaires, and also we have a consultation campaign on the census logo. Unfortunately, we didn't get yet the slogan for the census, but it is still to follow. And we have involved in these public consultations, which lasted for half a year. We have involved different users groups, and also we had very active participation and contributions from a set of UN agencies like UNICEF, IOM, OHCHR, UN Women, and OSCE, and they have provided us useful recommendations for the census questionnaires, which we have taken into consideration many of them. So not all of them, but many. Also, we tried to ensure the transparency for the census preparation activities. And hopefully you have consulted the website of the National Bureau of Statistics, where we have a two dedicated web pages, one for the 2024 census and one for the pilot census in 2023, where you could find different categories of information, like questions and answers about the census. We have used these questions in order to respond to the population calls which we had during the pilot census. We also had the visual identity page on our website in order to be used by the media outlets which wanted to broadcast and to distribute the information and media articles about the pilot census activities, and many we have there the list of those 11 localities which participated in the pilot census, and even the maps were with the enumeration areas being included in the pilot census, and many other information. So we have used the available means of communication, and one of these means has been the national and territorial commissions for the population and housing census, and through these commissions we have either informed the central public administration, the local public administration about the progress, but also requested their support and contributions in order to help us to conduct the pilot census this year, and also to prepare for the next year's census. Also, we have intensively used our website on publishing different and very frequent news and communications about the progress and about the activities for preparation of the census. And we also had about 170 materials in media which have informed the population about the planned pilot census, or were informing about the progress and many other related issues. About the pilot census, it has taken place in the period of 24 August and 10 October. So today we are closing, in fact, the pilot census, and today is the last day for the data collection for the post-enumeration survey, which has lasted since 30 September, 10 October, and per se the pilot population census has been conducted during 28 August, 29 September. For the period of implementation of the census, of the pilot census, we had a green line with the number which you see on the screen, and we have intensively used it for answering to the questions from the population regarding the pilot census, and it was a very useful experience for us, a rather new experience. For this green line, we have used the statistical staff from the National Bureau of Statistics, and we are very grateful to our colleagues from other divisions than the census division, but also including the census division, who were working part-time for this as operators for this green line. So a few details about the pilot census. We have involved 149 census temporary staff, including 4 census managers in regional territorial offices, 9 census managers in Rayon territorial offices, 2 deputy census managers in municipality Chișinău, 18 supervisors, 105 enumerators plus 9 reserve enumerators, and 2 national consultants who we have consulted on ethnocultural characteristics and on Roma issues in particular in Soroca. So for the as it regards to the post-enumeration survey, pilot post-enumeration survey, we have involved 5 supervisors and 26 enumerators. You all probably know those 11 localities which we have selected by purpose for the pilot census, and on the right column you have the scope of selecting in particular such kind of localities. In fact, we wanted, because the pilot census is meant to test all the tools we have prepared for the population census. In fact, we wanted to test, through selecting these categories of localities, different aspects like the behavior of the respondents. For example, for Chișinău, we know that there was a high reticence in the previous round, and we wanted to test it, how if it changed or discrepancy between the administrative data sources, and the census data on population in some particular localities, or proximity to the Transnistria region, if this would be a factor of concern for us in the preparation of the census, or the modality of listing of the dwellings. Would it be in the field through our operators being sent to the different localities, or listing being done from the office using the data from the cadastral agency? And also we have selected a few localities in order to test the involvement and implication of the different ethnic minority groups, because during the previous census there was some inactivity from these subgroups of population. We had not such a large communication campaign because of the limited number of localities, and even in those 11 localities, the pilot census has taken place in specific parts of the locality, not covering the whole locality. So respectively, we have been limited on using all the channels for communication, but nevertheless, we use the basic ones, like informing the population and leaving them different promo materials at their entrance with notification in case our enumerator was not finding anybody at home, and repeating the visits to the same household at least 3 times in order to take the last chance to get information from somebody and to find somebody in the dwelling. And also we have informed about the pilot census through our booklets and the posters being disseminated on different occasions and the proximity and the settlements. So we have also used our visual identity logo in order to support the activity in the field, including the materials being given to our enumerators and field staff in order to use and to make the promotion of the next year census. And of course, we have used all the channels we could on informing the general population and official information about the census through our website, through the Green Line, through the dedicated web pages on topics related to the census or to the pilot census. And also we had a chat box on our website through which people could address different instant messages and questions, inquiries, and our dissemination and communication staff were responding as quick as possible. For the pilot census and for these preparatory activities, we benefited of the support from the EU-funded project and on support to the National Statistics for the 2024 population and housing census being co-financed by the UNFPA, and the funds of the respective project have been in particular used for the expertise, international and national expertise we needed in order to prepare all the materials, starting from the methodology and ending with the applications for GIS listing and using the digital maps and collecting data through copying method. But also, as I have previously said, we benefited of conceptual support and opinions from a series of UN agencies during the consultation of the content of our questionnaires. Regarding the funds being used for the so far, so during this year, I would like to say that from the EU funded project, they have been spent or used $210,000, and from the public budget, in fact, we have benefited from allocations, for example, for staff about 6 million, for equipment about 14 million, and we have in process now the acquisition of the tablets needed for the data collection, but also they were already completed acquisitions on different type of equipment we would need for the census stuff. Also 2 million for the software and 4 million for the communication campaign. And the next step, the next activities would be the, so we are completing today the pilot post-enumeration survey. We will analyze the results of the pilot in October, and by the end of October, beginning of November, we will present these results to the public in the framework of a roundtable. We are going to organize and also to inform the National Commission on the Population and Housing Census about the results and about the next steps. But also we need to, by the end of this year, to approve a new government decision on the reference date of the census and modality of enumeration, which is according to our census law to be agreed and approved by the government. Also, we are already working with the administrative and private data sources and have started the process of their evaluation and determining the scope of their use for the census purpose. Also, we have submitted some amendments to the Article 330 to the Criminal Code, which relates to the fees which would be imposed to the population who are refusing to provide data for the census. And also we need to start recruiting already the temporary census staff and in particular the managers who would organize the field activities for the next year's census. And also we need to embark on a massive communication and promotion campaign in order to properly inform the population about the census which is coming, what it is about, and how important it is for everybody in the country. Also, we will have to conduct the census and the post-enumeration survey next year at the period which would be approved through the government decision, and the data processing from the census and from PES would follow, but also dissemination and communication of results. So these are the major activities to follow. You all have seen these slides. I will just pass very quickly through them. And in fact, why we are talking about the communication campaign so much at the donor meeting and today also. So first, observation from the pilot census. Yes, we had the issues to solve, and also we are happy that we have managed to do it. For example, for the use of this new modality of data collection, because it was new for our staff, and respectively we managed to also solve these problems. We also had the problems with the plan of addresses, as I told, because and our listing. So addresses de facto in the field and our listing, and there were discrepancies. Now we need to estimate the proportion of these discrepancies in order to find solutions so that we indeed cover all the buildings, all the dwellings, because also the scope of them are changing in time, and there are new buildings which we need to register before the census, a few days before the census, in order to complement our digital maps. We also discovered, but it was not in use, many non-occupied dwellings, which is an unexpected thing. But also one of the big problems was the communication with the population, and it has been manifested in different ways, starting from refusals to provide data, aggressive behavior towards our enumeration staff, and unfortunately we needed even to change staff a few times, in particular in specific sectors, and we discovered that in Chișinău we have difficult sectors with so-called I don't know, difficult population, like police is calling them. And we need the intervention of our colleagues from the police in order to support us to solve these cases. And also the very weak understanding of the need of the census, need of the data for the country, and how these data would help them. And we always tried to also complement and to help our enumerators to give the population, explanations, not the theoretical ones which we are learning and teaching during the trainings, but examples from the real life, which depending on the category of population we have interacted, and convincing them to provide at least some data, and because they are very important. So respectively, as I told, the next month would be very critical in order to communicate to the whole society, to different specific groups about the census, about the need of it, and about the need of them to participate. And respectively, we need your support, in particular of the development partners, because many of you, I'm sure all of you, are in particular working with these different categories of population, the vulnerable ones, those difficult to address and difficult to get in contact with. And there are different dimensions. Would it be the level of education, or the environment, rural, urban they live, or the level of income they have? It depends, or the ethnic minorities who would need probably communication in a more user-oriented languages or terminology or things like that. So respectively, we would need your support in building different partnerships with ethnic minorities NGOs, with youth NGOs, with business associations, with different cultural and centers, media associations, and also these non-traditional partners for us, like churches, because we have many kinds of religions being followed in the country. So respectively, we already got in contact with different heads of these churches asking for their support. But nevertheless, if you have the occasion, please support the message about the need of the census. And also, as I told, through these partnerships, non-traditional partnerships for us, we would like to address the whole population, each and every one, to leave no one behind the census data collection, and also behind the availability of data being resulted and generated as a result of the census. So for the communication campaign, we have estimated it at as 17 million lei, or $939,000. Half of it is for development of communication products, and half of it for advertising and using those promotional materials in order to communicate and to get in contact with the population. So here on this website, I have selected from our action plan on communication campaign and have colored those activities, communication activities, for which we have either full coverage from the state budget, for example, or a partial budget included from our partners from the EU UNFPA funded project. So respectively, the non-covered activities would need some contributions, because we will try with our forces to do them, but because of the limited budget, we will do the minimum necessary, and in case the additional budget would appear, then we would be able to make more diverse communication, more diverse promotion, and more targeted promotion. And respectively, for example, we would like to work with the schools and making some information of the pupils in the schools and students in the universities in order about the importance of the census, and through this to educate them, and through them educate their parents and their relatives, families, encouraging them to participate in the census. For example, we would need, as I said, different partnerships with the different influencers, the formal ones, the non-formal ones. Unfortunately, in this perspective, we do not have almost at all experience, and any of your experience would be valuable. Also, we would need to communicate and to build a strong partnership with the media. You all are communicating and cooperating with media. Unfortunately, media is, from my personal observations, is always scared of data, and somehow I was observing that they are avoiding the statistical events, the statistical activities, but nevertheless they are still those who are insisting on different data and even interpretation of those data, so that they would not misinform the population. And we need, from this perspective, even to gather a kind of friends, of media friends for the census, to train them on the terminology to be used for the census, on the purpose of the census data and the scope, and also to not convince them, but to make our partners on communicating about the importance of the population participation in the census, and also to not damage the census, in particular with fake news and with different misleading information, as we already had an experience during the pilot census. So it is very important, and the mass media is a very important partner in order to succeed in developing and in conducting the census and in full coverage of the population. That would be all from my side. If you have questions, I'm available to answer. Thank you.
So I will. I don't want to promise anything, but we promised to look into the requests related to training for the journalists. We have a separate contract on strategic communication, and under this contract we have a component which envisages to provide support to the government of the Republic of Moldova to communicate better on different subjects. So maybe we can cover the training for journalists, the fake news, and the communication which you mentioned. It's the last activity with the presidency, Prime Minister's office, and other relevant institutions. I will check with my colleague dealing with strategic communication, and I promise to get back to you on these activities.
Thank you very much, Elena, for presenting one question and one clarification. Clarification about the communication campaign. We just saw how complex this is, how many groups we as partners, as NGOs, want to target in order to increase the participation rate and the overall quality of data population census. So here we really we are looking forward to have this comprehensive, like a strategy with clear vision on what needs to be done and who is doing what, rather than having like fragmented activities, and support, because this is related to the how fast can we act, because it should be very timely, all this campaigning. We know the existing bureaucracy, when we hire the company, when we announce the bidding process, everything. So it's really, we see this somehow like
umbrella, for the whole umbrella relates to communication, so we need to have clarity. If we can contribute with funds, and we committed already in our work plan we signed with you, yes, in the column of unfunded, but we do all our best to close these funding gaps. But for us, it's important, to also to understand not only what we are doing, but how we will do this in order to provide timely inputs. Otherwise, we might be late. Because communication, indeed, it's need to be done, better when, right before, or, as a preparatory stage. So this is clarification. And one question, I remember the initial stage when we discussed population census, I think it was last year. You mentioned also the mixed method or combination of the modalities of having possibility to self-register. Is it still valid, for population to have this soft? So it was my understanding, maybe I'm wrong. To give possibility to the population to access the questionnaire and to fill it. Thank you.
I will try to answer to the first question, and I would like to ask Mr. Carol to answer to the second one. So about the first question on communication strategy, we have it. We finally published it on our website. I will send you the link if you cannot find it. We have a detailed action plan on implementation of that communication campaign, and we will send it. I would suggest that we will send it to you, I suppose, through the RC office, and in this case, you might see what we have planned. Maybe you have another proposals, would have another proposals, but similar as we have done with the action plan. You just mentioned in which activities would be of your interest and how much you could contribute with, so that we could put it together and already implemented. We also have this in this action plan, not only the activity, but also the cost, the timing for development or implementation, and respectively now we need to indicate the source of funding. I wanted to also mention that I said previously that from the public budget, from our budget, we have already announced 4 acquisitions processes on the communication things, and in fact, all of them, 4 the decisions have been taken. One of the competition is for a company to develop a more thorough action plan on the communication campaign. So and also the other acquisition would be for the development of the content. So the minimum videos we need for that to communicate. For example, we identified at least 3 topics to be addressed when the census is to take place, and what it means, and what is its usefulness, and about the process, how it is conducted. So at least 3 topics. And for this, the development is planned from state budget, but they are, translation, subtitling in different languages of ethnic minorities. Yes, sign languages we would appreciate. I know UNDP has a very extensive. I mean, maybe other agencies. I just know from my colleagues, and also airing of all these, so spreading them. Because even if in the law, census law, we have an article in which there that the promo information about the census would be considered as public interest messages. Unfortunately, at least the signs we have from the Audiovisual Council, from different public or non-public private media outlets, they request money for airing, broadcasting, and things like that. So respectively, these would be the big bulk of the money needed in order to spread all this information. Also, we have planned but did not allocate money yet for the different type of communication activities, like, I don't know, in the public transport, audiovisual, in the this billboards, moving static. At the entrance in the localities, like banners, and many other, even like events with different constituencies and different stakeholders. We don't pretend to do all of them by ourselves. We would even appreciate if we provide you these developed materials and you already distribute, disseminate, and promote them in your events, like you are organizing the trainings for pupils, for, I don't know, for young people, for elderly people, just to make a communication about the census and the need to participate. So in such a manner, the other two acquisitions which have been done, it is for printing of different materials. Here we would need, we have set a set of promo materials we could afford and we could justify to be funded from the budget. But nevertheless, for example, if we will target the children in the schools, we were thinking about different about the census for pupils, for children in the schools. Maybe it could be something we cannot afford it from the public budget, but if you would support us, for example, incentives to the different groups of population, because we have tried this idea. We published small calendars with the census logo and handed them to the population participating in the pilot census, because we are bothering them a few times. So once for the pilot census, once for the pilot post-enumeration survey, and the next year we will also bother them. So respectively, we thought to somehow motivate, reward them for their participation. So such kind of things would be useful. For example, we know experiences from different countries. They were organizing different tombola, some lotteries on different, because I think in the Moldovan society these things are also appreciated by the population, and in particular by the vulnerable groups. So why not to support them even with such kind? We are not promoting, the election things like giving something or no. It's just about the attention which is for their participation and for their contribution to the production of data and of statistics.
I wanted to reflect a bit on the local elections and the census. It might pose some challenges to the census because of the changes. What I would like to suggest is that the team now is preparing for a newly elected officials training based on the experiences from the previous local election cycles, when we reach out to 12,000 local councillors and mayors. In case you're interested, we can partner and spread the word about the importance of the census and the role of the local public authorities in this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a very valid point. Actually, speaking about census, it's not an NBS activity. It's an activity that involves the involvement of entire society. Speaking about local authorities, they are among the first, let's say, partners that should support. That's why we are trying to use a specific word for specific locality. In this pilot census, we visited all the mayors. We discussed with all the mayors let's say, to ensure their involvement and support. And the same will be done for the census. Local authorities are important first for to build this atmosphere to be for the population to be involved in the census, to support the census, to be active, and also public authorities are supporting us in let's say, providing, identifying the census personnel. For us, it's key that the census personnel to be right people that are known in, let's say, in the community, and they are, let's say, as messengers of the census. It's key that they have a good reputation in the community. And speaking about the question regarding the self-registration, there are a lot of challenges in this respect. Actually, we wanted to provide as much as possible, as many as possible methods for the census. And when discussing, let's say, operational things with experts, and also with governmental agencies, we found out that there are some shortages that should be overcome. So we don't have the building, the address register. So in many other countries where self-registration is in place, they have this. The second, speaking about the administrative registers, we should have integrated our system with administrative registers. You know how difficult it was to get to this to data. Now we are let's say, solving this problem, but we haven't solved them. And when you have this data, full access, you can integrate and to this data into this system. This also is linked to information security. So CAWI supposes that there are a range of let's say requirements related to information security, cyber security is in place. You need higher level of, let's say, security measures. In today's, let's say, environment, very difficult. This could be an important risk. Also, the question of quality. We discussed this question during the last Population Census Council committee, and actually the proposal came from our partners that look, we have important, let's say, concerns regarding the quality. The quality if the self-enumeration will be in place. You don't know the person behind. You should first strictly identify the person that should provide the data. Here should be in place a set of mechanisms. You should know 100% that it's the right person. The identification with ID should be made, an additional, let's say, instrument should be used, not to be sure that the right person is providing the information. The first. And the second, when the question is short, is one thing. We have more than 80 questions. We discussed with all of you and other partners. And the pressure on us was enormous. We need this of the questionnaire. So, and we got to get more than 90 comments and proposals. Out of them, we tried to accommodate and to put in the question, but it's still wrong. And when working in the pilot, many persons said it's too long. And in some cases, persons, let's say, declared 4 persons, and after that said, okay, the other 2 persons are abroad. I'm not going to give more detailed information. So this is just not for the public, not for the, let's say, for mass media. We are colleagues and we are doing, let's say, we are in the same boat. And there are many questions. And we discussed about self-registration, if you remember. And we discussed that in order to have this self-registration, we need a short questionnaire. We need a short. Now, let's say 40-50 minutes to fill in the questionnaire for, let's say, two members. And if the family has, let's say, 4 or 5 members, In this case, it's an additional burden of the person that is filling in the form. When the form is filled by the interviewers, it's not so visible. So the interviewer will come, let's say, put the questions in a way, another way, and filling in it's another let's say question. That's why, yeah, there are many questions, and also the question of some of the, I will not say who says, but during the information collected for vulnerability, let's say, company. It was, let's say, identified that many persons included wrong information, let's say. So this is also one issue, that we should collect information from all persons, and we should get quality data. If you have these priorities, in this case, for self-registration, we have important costs. We are still trying to see how is it feasible or not for the population census itself. For the pilot, self-enumeration was not in place because of Eli mentioned cons, because that was not possible to address by the pilot. In order to have the census itself, we should test all the instruments. If we don't have let's say the confidence that the tool is adequate, we cannot use this tool. That's why we are looking but we can't say that our self-registration is feasible for the next census. But at least the second option would be, we are not encouraging, but would be if a person is not let's say it's not convenient to get the interview, the person could provide the information in a fixed let's say census section, and the person could come and to provide the information in a specific venue outside of, let's say, not in the address of the person. At least two options will be, but we will encourage persons to be census enumerated at the place of residence. And one more thing, that we put actually we are georeferencing the data. We will have census data georeferenced. So we should have all the data related to a specific geolocation. For this also, CAVI is quite difficult to use. Yeah, these are some of the difficulties that it is.
Just to complement what Mr. Kara said, I found out that the US Census Bureau has conducted the first time the web data collection in 2021. US, who is the US dedicated agency for censuses. So you are doing this modality of data collection when you have all these in place, and also when you have these IDs, you have already a database of persons, and you are just checking them. You have a basis in relation to which to check. Now at NBS, we don't have IDs of the population. So respectively, if you remember, we included it in the questionnaire of the census to collect, to build our database on IDs, to then compare it and analyze versus the population state register. But one of the challenges in the pilot was the very big reticence on providing the IDs. So respectively, now we need to, in our communication campaign, also to tell to people why we need these IDs, because they are communicating them to the bank, they are communicating them to the fiscal authority, to the medician, to the doctor. Why not to the statistician? So respectively, we need to build confidence of a population in helping us to then transit to these either combined censuses or even register-based censuses in the hope near future, not very long future.
And it's interesting that I was a part of the pilot self-registration census in the United States in 2020 occasionally, you know, and it was very strange to me how, because I received the envelope, it was not my name, it was just the address, you know, and there was a QR code, yes, and everything, you know, and then I introduced, and now, of course, I noticed that I'm not the resident of the United States, so it would be like 5 questions, and that's it, but that's why I was curious to see, and I understand this is a long way to go, including the mentality of people to be open to the data. Thank you very much for this.
But sure, we will use administrative data sources to the extent possible. Okay, if any other question?
Maybe just to make a suggestion that as we get closer to the time when the communication campaign is being launched, that we, or you hold a coordination meeting for communicators that's broader than this. Because I think, as UNDP noted, there's a huge number of opportunities that we could take advantage of that we might not know about if we don't do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The information and where we needed the support will be the updated information provided to you via the PPTs and Antonio. But in any case, we will approach to specifically to you, to all of you, in order to discuss where you can, let's say, support directly or indirectly through maybe existing ongoing projects, because yeah, we need strong support, and actually it should be, and let's say, a common effort. Without this, it would not be possible to conduct business. Thank you very much. If there are no questions, thank you very much for all discussions. Just for the information, we will organize in line with the fourth objective. The 16th of October, we'll organize, we'll provide the opportunity to students, people to come to the NBS and to get acquainted with what we are doing, the so-called zero risk. This will be in the open doors, in the context of the National Statistical Day that will be celebrated the same week. So thank you very much. We appreciate your effort, your support, your active participation at the meeting, and we count a lot on your support in the future. Thank you very much. And we could continue the discussion at the coffee 15. Yeah, this is correct. Thank you. Follow this. Okay.